greetings of the day, and I'm entirely in awe of the topic that we have taken today, which is decoding tomorrow from vision to reality. And before I actually start, I really want to burst your bubble by saying that when we say decoding tomorrow, in order to do that, you need to first decode your past, because your past at one point in time was your present, and in your future you were actually looking at tomorrow, and you are actually living the future, which is tomorrow. Now it's your present. You see, that's how the cycle is. So how many of you would go back to your childhood if given a chance? Yeah, so some of you might be saying yes, some of you are still pondering over it, some of you must be silently saying no, right? So, for those of you who silently said no, that you don't really want to go back to your childhood, I understand. So, in dysfunctional families, we don't learn to sing, we don't really learn to dance or to go with the rhythm, we learn how to survive. So, survival is something that actually comes with dysfunctional families. And we learn to find out escape routes. We don't really learn the lullabies as such. There is no comfort or no safety or a sense of belongingness, let's say. So, for those of you who are relating with what I'm saying, it's more of a psychological aspect. And why I'm talking from a psychological perspective is I'll just give a brief overview of me, which is I'm an educator by profession, and I am also a social and mental health activist, an author, and in the introduction, as they rightly mentioned, the winner of Mrs. India International Queen this year. And so these are accolades which describes anybody's personality, like I just did for myself. But it goes way beyond that. You see, and the reason I took psychological aspect is because you need to understand that how your past is actually monitoring your present or your future. You see, this is a visual representation of how decoding your past, if it looks like this, where there was absence, where there was no safety, where there was no sense of belonging, where survival was your only instinct, then maybe you relate. You see, because in functions of family where dysfunction pertains, what happens is you don't really decode tomorrow, you actually decode pain. You learn how to survive around people through eggshells, and then pain is the first thing you decode, because for a child of any tender age, they really don't understand the concept of having faith, going with the flow. So what they're doing is just trying to make sense of the situation, and just trying to ponder why the caregivers are actually the ones hurting them. So that psychological trauma tends to go through generations, and it's passed on through every generation. And no wonder at any given point of time, many of us are hurting, because our parents were hurt by their parents were hurt by their parents. Now they are probably hurting you in some way or the other. You might or might not pass that trauma to somebody else, but that's a conscious choice, all right? So while growing up, I learned from a very tender age the value of money, because we had humble beginnings, and everything was taken care of. Nothing was given on a silver platter. I went to a convent school, and as you know, that convent schools have a very minimal fee, right? And value of money, which I think everyone should know. But in some cases, in some families, you are actually born with it, and you have to accept it the way it is. But it does teach you a lot of perseverance as you go. So you really don't take anything for granted. Things are being reused again and again, passed down generations. Your siblings used what you probably took from the previous generation, and so it is. But that actually, as I said, teaches you a lot of perseverance. So while growing up, one of my family members an elder in the family, always used to say that no matter what happens, your shadow will leave you in the darkness, but one thing that will never leave you is education. So, come what may, whatever kind of trauma you are going through, you are not supposed to give up on studies, because everyone will pass by, no one will be with you, not even your own shadow. The educational qualifications will stay with you. And I am so glad I listened and I followed and I did what I had to. So I went on to pursue English, Spanish, psychology, business administration. So it was all something that I did willingly and obviously out of motivation, because I was very sure that I have to do something in life and not depend on anyone. So I'm glad I listened to that inner voice, because somebody who is going through a lot really can't focus on studies or anything for that matter. But there was this inner resilience and I had to, so I did. And I'm very thankful to my teachers for that, because they were the ones who were actually um, always there. They were very nurturing, very motherly, and they were with us throughout. I also happen to be excellent in co-curricular activities, name it: dance, music, art, theater, public speaking, and also because I was motivated by my teachers again. So they have had a very great influence in my life, and I still think of them with a lot of respect, with a lot of humility, because of them I am what I am, right? So my teachers used to say that, you are jack of all trades. And at that point in time, I used to wonder, all right, but now I understand. But I owe it to them, because you need to have mentors in life, right? I have never really thought that it was me who did what. I was just a vessel they were filling with love and lots of attention, and I was just channelizing it the right way. And I'm glad I listened to them. So you see, since I mentioned the jack of all trades, over years, because of the persistence, perseverance, hard work, I was blessed enough to gather a lot of medals, trophies, certificates, you name it. But then, that was never a source of being boastful or being proud. You see, because a lot of hard work went behind it, and it was merely a distraction in a way, because in a way I was saying that, look, whatever is happening, I am still refusing to let it define me, and hence I am channelizing my energy in this way. So all these accolades were merely a way of me channelizing my energy the right way, because I refused to give up despite of whatever life was throwing at me. So one of the quotes which I actually like is, when life give you lemons, you make lemonade out of it. All right. I to say you actually make lemon mousse, cake, tarts, cookies, jobi, whatever you can think of, you just make it. You see, because you have to really turn the situation around in your favor at the end of the day. You can't be crying and stumbling and falling and thinking, that you are the victim. Maybe you are, but then it really doesn't work in the long run. Nobody wants to hear victimhood stories. And you may not believe it, that I was a very highly, in fact, extreme and introvert person. So I was somebody who would just come, perform, all right, and I'll go back. And I would just disappear, and people would find kahan hai. They could not find me, because I just wanted to be out of the crowd. That was because I needed to recharge my social battery, which, if you're introverts, you would realize that we really don't recharge ourselves in social situations. So for me to, change from an introvert to an ambivert, and then to actually embracing visibility, was a huge task, because trust me, all I wanted to do was just disappear from crowd, because that the vibes, the energy was too overwhelming at times. Introverts might actually agree with what I'm saying. So for those of you who have had dysfunctional families, you may not even realize it, but you might have encountered certain kinds of wounds, which is actually working against you in your adult life, and has become a part of your personality, which are namely the guilt wound, the abandonment wound, the trust wound, the neglect wound. So these are the wounds which have actually taken over you, and you don't really realize them because they are so ingrained in your personality that it you might be, basically reflecting trauma to others and you don't even know. So hence it's very important to look within oneself which aspect of your childhood didn't really work in your favor and which wound you actually are harnessing inside of yourself. And there's one wound that people usually don't talk about, that's the visibility wound, because visibility requires a lot of courage. Not everyone is familiar with being on stage, facing the public and all. So in order to actually being visible, you really need to, let go of all the trauma that you've had. So over the years, I worked on myself and I actually learned to embrace visibility. So I am somebody who likes to indulge in creative writing, and hence my book Nuances was published. It's basically a poetry book. It has around 70 poems, and it went on to gather the Emily Dickinson Award. So this is something that what I'm trying to say is that if you channelize your inner creativity in whatever being, it manifests eventually. So another ways of embracing visibility, the lot of accolades that eventually came over the years. I will not really go through each one of them, but I'm just saying that the journey of actually turning from somebody who was an introvert to actually embracing visibility was really tough. Let me tell you that. But I stood um, against that, against that fear, and actually channelized into strength. And you know what? When you come to life on this earth, you are really here for a purpose. So you really can't be saying that, let me hide myself. Like if you are really somebody who has that potential in you, you are here to actually inspire others to do the same. Hiding will not really help you out, because what's your purpose then? Purpose can be different for different people, but the least you can do is actually inspire people to be a better version of themselves, right? Yeah. So as you can see, there was a feature in the Fames magazine, Women of Substance magazine. So it's all a collective effort of hard work. I will not go into it. This happened this year when I was crowned the winner of Mrs. India International Queen, and so people ask me and they think, oh, it must be very glorious. It would be like cherry on cake, because beauty pageants. They think it's all glamour. Well, that's true. It is glamour. I'm not denying that it's not, but then a lot of bias comes in, which people think. So people think it's because of pretty privilege, because you look a certain way, you walk a certain way, you talk a certain way. So there's a pretty privilege, and people might, give you the benefit of the doubt. But I'll tell you, there's another side of pretty privilege that nobody really talks about, which is pretty privilege has a lot of downsides and shadows. All right. So for those of you who don't know, girls who are conventionally attractive, they might get bullied, they might get harassed, they might get strategically excluded, and lot of unspoken biases by the same gender, or maybe the opposite gender also happens, because people think that, oh, they're getting everything so easy, so we might as well, just put all our projections and all our insecurities on them. So lots and lots of I would say disadvantages of pretty privilege that people don't really talk about. But I believe it's high time that people actually address the issue that, there are downsides of being so-called conventionally attractive, because people are so comfortable with bullying the people who are deemed to be a certain way. It's just not acceptable anymore, and it's high time that we start speaking about it, and and just see the person for who they are and be kind to them. So when it comes to success, what happens is usually people see the top of it. They don't really look at the other end of the iceberg. So which is actually called the iceberg illusion, that people are actually looking at just the top of the iceberg, and they think that everything is just given on a silver platter and nothing. But if you see below the surface, there's a lot of failure, lots of rejections and whatnot. So I actually identified my life purpose, and my life purpose is actually to indulge in social service. So I basically work with the foundation that caters to students from the underprivileged backgrounds, and you can see the glimpses from here. So the students are doing really well for themselves. And if you look here, because there are students who really can't give you back anything in return because they come from underserved backgrounds. So when you actually do something for them, it's all blessings that comes your way. So I just think that in order to decode tomorrow, obviously you start with decoding the past. So see, so let your wounds teach you, not to define you. So you need to break generational traumas. You need to embrace your past. Let it be the soil for growth. Don't let your past be a prison, okay? Let your gifts be louder. So if you have any gifts that you can give back to the world, you actually use it and make sure others benefit from it. Okay, as I said, embrace visibility. You live your life purpose. उससे पहले you actually need to find out what your life purpose is. You need to, have purpose over perfection, and hard work is the key to everything, but also a splash of smart work if you can put here and there. Resilience, perseverance, spirituality actually helps to heal. If you're having any kind of wounds, trauma, spirituality actually helps. And choose your battles wisely. Not every battle has to be fought, let me tell you. You really have to be very wise where you're putting your energy into. And always try to collaborate over competition, because together we achieve more. That's what team says, all right? And vision without action is absolutely useless. It's basically having a map and you're not really even reading it, you just have a map. So vision alone is not enough. You need to back it with action. And you let go of the comfort zone, because nothing ever grows here. It's a beautiful place to be in because it's comfortable, but nothing really goes here. And also, impact over identity is very important, because what you are is okay, but how are actually impacting the other person or a group of people is more important. And most importantly, asking, what is this situation trying to teach me? There's always a lesson, always a lesson, good, bad, neutral. Something or the other is always there wrapped. So always rise like a phoenix. I'm sure you must be aware what a phoenix is. It's a mystical creature that actually rises from the ashes after burning itself, but it rises always. So phoenix is something that you can actually consider as your spirit creature. And there's a very beautiful saying in Spanish, which they say as que sera sera, which is what will be, will be. So you don't have to force things. The futures is not ours to see. So que sera sera. So I'll leave you with the thought: what if? What if instead of always decoding your tomorrow, you just let it be? At times things don't really work out. So just let it be still for some time. And it's not necessary to decode everything, right? Stillness helps. So that's the thought I want to leave you all with. Decoding at times is not needed. So be still, let divine intervention take over. All right, so que sera sera for you. Thank you.